own terms. What are your views on this?
Absolutely. And were they rather to blame for missing the penalty shootout? Well, the just ended Euro 2020 exposed something beyond the pitch.
And on our perspective tonight, the segment, Limuru Member of Parliament, Peter Mwavi. Welcome. My name is Mboya.
And I'm Purity Museo.
Top in this live broadcast.
There was a stab wound on the abdomen from the right flank to the area above the umbilicus.
The trial begins. 35 witnesses to testify in a university student's murder case in which Migori governor is a key suspect.
Judiciary to prioritize 400 corruption cases to help recover 11 billion shillings.
We are the heart, and we believe whatever formation is made, whatever government comes to power, the Mount Kenya region should continue playing a central role, within.
Another president from the mountain, Speaker Muturi and Governor Kirai to dismiss those opposed to Mount Kenya producing the next president. It's cold in Nairobi, but a very warm welcome to our live broadcast tonight.
Feel free to interact with us at Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, and of course the hashtag to use tonight is Prime Edition.
Straight to our top story. Migori Governor Okoth Obado is back in the dock today as the murder trial of Sharon Otieno kicked off Monday. The
prosecution's first witness, government pathologist Jansen Odor, presented graphic details of how Sharon was raped and died of strangulation and profuse bleeding from several deep cuts.
Now, the prosecution has lined up 35 witnesses in a bid to unravel the puzzle that has spanned 3 years. Sarafina Robi opens our coverage tonight with that report from the corridors of justice.
Migori Governor Okoth Obado, who is one of the 3 suspects in the murder of Sharon Otieno and her unborn child, sat pensively as the trial began before Justice Cecilia Githua. Government pathologist Johansen Odor gave a graphic description of how the 26-year-old former Rongo University student, who was 28 weeks pregnant, was killed.
I formed the opinion that the cause of death of the late Sharon was severe hemorrhage due to penetrating force trauma. Also of note were features of manual strangulation.
Odor said that during the postmortem performed on the 8th of September 2018, deep cuts were also found on the 28-weeks-old male fetus.
The other wound was above it, so it's an injury which has gone through and passed and came out through the umbilicus. That's what I mean.
Also to note were the signs of being strangled. Evidence that did not go unchallenged by the defense team led by lawyers Kioko Kilokumi and Tom Ojenda.
Do you know the officer or the person who wrote this was a kid?
I presume is still Inspector Clement Mwangi.
So he has certain findings as well and observations that he made during the postmortem, correct?
We made the same findings when we concluded the autopsy.
The prosecution led by Catherine Mwaniki will adduce evidence from 35 witnesses against Obado and his co-accused Michael Juma Oyamo and Caspar Ojwang Obiero.
We will show and demonstrate the several meetings prior to the fatal day, during the fatal day, and after the fatal day.
The late Sharon's body was found in a thicket in Homa Bay on the 4th of September 2017. Well, 3 years down the line since the horrific murder of Sharon Otieno, the trial has finally kicked off and is scheduled to continue for 4 days up to Thursday. Reporting from Milimani Law Courts, I'm Sarafina Robi for Prime Edition.
While Obado's trial kicked off, a book on peace and elections in Tanzania that Florence Simbiri Jaoko co-authored with 2 Ugandans came to haunt her during her interview for the position of Commissioner at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
Jaoko forced to defend her patriotism to the country, having not extended the same gesture to Kenya. Jaoko, a former chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, was the 9th to face the panel seeking to recruit 4 commissioners to the electoral body.
Serafin Achieng reports.
Interviews for the position of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissioners entered the 4th day, with 3 candidates appearing before the Elizabeth Muli-led selection panel. Florence Simbiri Jaoko, a former chairperson of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, was challenged to defend her patriotism following her move to co-author a book on peace and elections in Tanzania and nothing about Kenya.
Have you, at the personal level, it's a simple question, done the same for your motherland?
I have not done the same.
You have not done the same. No, I get the answer.
Could I just make a clarification?
Yes.
I did not sit in my house and decide that I'm going to Zanzibar to make a report. I was requested as an expert to go to Tanzania.
Second candidate was Francis Wanderi, the former chairman of the Export Processing Zones Authority. He was tasked to explain how he will ensure the outcome of the election is not influenced by the financial muscle of aspirants.
There is a Election Fund Management Act that was supposed to be introduced by IBC in 2013. IBC need to be active in terms of managing that if it ever becomes an act of parliament, and there has to be structures. It will be difficult to implement, but it's good to start.
Harriet Shigai, who once served as the vice chair of the Law Society of Kenya, was hard pressed to defend why she failed to disclose her involvement with a political party when submitting application to be an IEBC commissioner.
If Kenyans had the perception that should you join the IEBC, in view of the major role you've played in ANC, that you would not be in a position to be impartial.
The Dispute Resolution Committee is not a decision-making organ of the party. It's a service delivered to the party. And for me, Madam Chair, I am a very impartial person. I am not easily swayed.
The interviews will end on the 22nd of July, 2021. For Prime Edition, I'm Serafin Achieng Ouma.
Let's now look at an item on corruption. Chief Justice Martha Koome says that the judiciary remains committed to the war on corruption.
The Chief Justice has assured the courts will prioritize the conclusion of over 400 pending corruption cases to aid in the recovery of some 11.4 billion shillings.
Some of those cases have been pending for 15 years. Jackie Wambiru puts that story into perspective for us.
The judiciary appears to be working round the clock to shed off the tag that is the weakest link in the war against corruption. The government is looking to recover some illegally acquired wealth amounting to 11.4 billion shillings. The multi-agency team has in recent months found itself at crossroads, with the arms accusing one another of derailing the war on graft. Meanwhile, police in Juja have arrested 104 Ethiopians who were allegedly found locked in a 3-bedroomed house in Thome village. Juja Sub-County Police Commander Dorothy Migarusha said they raided the house following a tip-off from members of the public.
Tumefika hapa, tumeanzisha uchunguzi, tujue ni nani mwenye kuwaleta na pia kuangalia ni wapi walikuwa naelekea. Kwa saa hii ile jambo tunataka kufanya documentation na tuta hand over kwa DCI headquarters kwa ile section ina deal na mambo ya human trafficking, transnational crimes, waweze kufanya uchunguzi zaidi.
Police believe the aliens may be victims of a human trafficking syndicate.
Tumepata watu wanaume ambao karibu ni watu 104. Wako wa miaka kati ya miaka 15 na miaka 40. Na tunashuku kwamba wanaweza kuwa wametoka nchi jirani, nchi ya Ethiopia. Na tunashuku hii ni mambo ya ulanguzi ya watu ama human trafficking.
Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Jackie Wambiru.
Let's now take you to Parliament, and National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi says his desire for the presidency of this country is driven by the need to restore accountability and integrity in the public service. Muturi, who is enjoying support from Meru Governor Kiraito Murungi, has dismissed those who claim his candidacy is not viable, warning Kenyans to be wary of questionable leaders who want to occupy public office. Muturi was speaking during the launch of Governor Kiraito's book, Beyond Politics, co-authored by veteran journalist Jerry Rugene.
Though the title of the book is Beyond Politics, co-authored by Meru Governor Kiraito Murungi and veteran political journalist Jerry Rugene, it was politics that captured the theme of its launch. Speaker Justin Muturi, who was a chief guest, insisting that he was keen on clinching the presidency in 2022, claiming he was the only candidate who would restore new order and give fresh impetus to politics of this nation.
I am talking about the need for integrity and discipline, which must go with leadership in national and county governments.
And while Muturi and Kiraito encouraged the political competition already being experienced in the country based on ideological differences, they warned voters to be wary of electing leaders with questionable character into public office.
You, in your residents association, in your estate, you cannot even agree to elect them to be the chairman of that residents association. But you give no qualms about electing those people to go and run huge government organizations, including county governments.
We have so many factions there. We also think you can manage our differences, within our Mount Kenya region. So you are a symbol of unity, and we know you have no enemies. You get on well with everybody. You are above Tanga, you are above Kueroeke, you are above with those titles.
The duo dismissing arguments that Kenya was not ready for another presidential contender from the Mount Kenya region after the exit of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
We are the heart, and we believe whatever formation is made, whatever government comes to power, the Mount Kenya region should continue playing a central role, within.
Muturi has, however, got to contend with dissenting voices in the region, with Nyandarua Governor Francis Kimemia appearing to pour cold water on Muturi's coronation as a Mount Kenya spokesman.
Ukubwa ni Mungu hupeana. Akisema itarudi broke, me have no apology. Maybe it's me who thinks that. Akisema ije kwa Muturi, ama kwa Kimemia, ama kwa Muthaura, ama kwa Njiko, ama kwa Njoroge pale, it doesn't matter.
John Jacob Kuria, Prime Edition.
And now to education matters. The University of Nairobi has doubled tuition fees in a move it says is aimed at cushioning it from cash crunch. Students will now pay more for programs distributed in 14 cluster courses in a move the University Council says will take effect on new students joining the institution from August 2021. The Students Association has, however, issued a 48-hour ultimatum for the fee to be reviewed, claiming they have not been consulted.
The cost of higher education at the University of Nairobi has hit a new high after the institution doubled its fee with effect from the next intake in August this year. Fees for postgraduate and parallel degrees have been doubled in a move the university says is set to mitigate a cash crunch at the university owing to a decline in student enrollment. A 2-year master's course at Liberty Arts, such as communication, will now cost upwards of 600,000 shillings from about 275,000 shillings, reflecting an increase of 118%. This has not gone down with the students, whose association has issued an 18-hour ultimatum for the fee to be reviewed, claiming they were not consulted.
We are going to give them an ultimatum of 48 hours. That if those restrictions have not been removed, then we are going to the streets. That's on Wednesday, very early in the morning, as from 6 a.m. Comrades, power!
Comrades' fee should be reduced and not increased. Comrades, power!
Power!
Other degree courses in the institution, like commerce, economics and law, under the parallel plan, has not been spared. Students will have to pay 70% extra to facilitate their education.
Those decisions are made, we're not involved. Because if you have to be involved, you have to be in the table.
In June 2018, the institution suffered a huge setback after it hit a record 1.4 billion shillings loss. The move to increase fees for postgraduate and self-sponsored students comes just after a similar move was opposed by the state-sponsored students. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, in collaboration with other stakeholders, will spearhead an inter-community peace dialogue in Marsabit County aimed at resolving the ongoing clashes in the region, while lauding efforts by the police so far. NCIC Chair Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia says that the commission, together with other agencies, have commenced investigations to bring masterminds of the conflict to book.
To newsrooms, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission Chair, Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia, condemned the ongoing ethnic violence in Marsabit County between the Borana, Gabra and Rendile communities. The clashes have severely affected learning as schools have been shut down at a time when learners are sitting for their end-of-term examinations. The NCIC chair said, and I quote, "We have worked and continue to work in the area to facilitate and promote equality of opportunity, good relations, harmony and peaceful coexistence between persons of different ethnic communities, and advise the government on all aspects thereof." The clashes have left over 100 people dead and displaced thousands of residents since the beginning of the year. Thousands of livestock have been looted and hundreds of houses torched. Caroline Kamau for Prime Edition.
Now, that story is going to form the basis of part of our conversations.
But first, we take our first commercial break on Prime Edition. When we return,
stay with us. We'll be speaking with the Limuru Member of Parliament, Peter Mwathi. So don't go away.
If you have been in contact with someone who is suspected or has tested positive for COVID-19, self-quarantine for 14 days and call 7194 HELP. Self-quarantine restricts movement and the spread of the disease and protects your family, friends and community from being infected. During self-quarantine, you are advised to stay in a separate room, disinfect surfaces and clothing with appropriate disinfectant, avoid sharing household items, including utensils, towels and beddings, do not receive visitors, wear an appropriate face mask if you must be around other people. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, family and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
This is where it all began. As the mother of broadcasting in Kenya, you can trust KBC to bring you authentic news and programs to your living room. As KBC, we take pride in our unrivaled heritage as Kenya's trusted national broadcaster. Commanding over 92% digital television signal coverage of our country, 23 radio services that cut across our entire language spectrum, a national, regional and international digital presence backed by the most experienced and top-notch broadcast professionals in the industry.
A very good evening to you.
The new look Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is truly ahead of the pack. Turn to the mother of broadcasting in Kenya for stories that resonate with our identity, our aspirations as a people united in purpose. Real stories of hard work, of passion, of creativity, of big dreams. Stories that cement our nationhood. Stories that bring us together as one. We take pride in our shared heritage and destiny. KBC, informing, educating and entertaining Kenyans as one nation. KBC, Kenya's listening, Kenya's watching.
Thank you so much for staying with Prime Edition this Monday night. And campaigns for the Kiambaa parliamentary seat and Muguga ward by-elections have come to an end, with a section of clergy urging voters to exercise their democratic will maturely. The vote hunting have been very emotive, with the two main rival parties, the Jubilee and UDA, blaming each other.
Curtains have come down for campaigns in Kiambaa constituency and Muguga wards ahead of the by-election on Thursday the 15th. The clergy in the area used the closing of the vote hunting to plead with locals to end emotive politics and exercise their sovereign will maturely.
Tunaamini IBC kwa sababu hii sio muda ya kwanza kufanya uchaguzi, wamekuwa kisimamia, na kwa hivyo ningeomba ya kwamba tuwapatie nafasi wafanye hiyo kazi, na tukimaliza uchaguzi kila mmoja aende nyumbani, tungojee results, na tunajua kwamba kupitia kwa neema ya Mungu na ushindi utapatikana.
The Jubilee caravans took its pitch in Sianda, Mushadha, Banana and Rwaka, with its candidate Kariri Njama urging voters to come out in large numbers and vote for him.
Mkumbuke kuja kunipatia kura zenu. Kila mtu pale mahali anapigia kura yake, mtakuja.
The other Jubilee leaders, led by leader of majority Amos Kemunya, called on voters to protect projects that the late Paul Koinange left.
Ya kuboresha ni kuungana na chama iliyo kwenye serikali. Usipoteze kura.
Ikifika siku ya Alhamisi, tukumbuke Kareri, tukumbuke nani?
And United Democratic Alliance Party was in Sahara West in Rwaka, with MPs allied to the new outfit urging electorate to vote John Njuguna Wanjiko, saying he has the zeal to transform Kiambaa constituency.
Waache polisi wafanye kazi yao na wasiingilie IEBC. Waache IEBC wafanye kazi yao as an independent organ of the state.
A total of 8 candidates have been cleared to contest for the seat in the by-election. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Prime Edition.
Well, as we have promised, we have live in studio the Limuru Member of Parliament, Peter Mwathi, and from that story, you know, there are those who feel that the Kiambaa poll is a litmus test for a bigger political contest. But we'll talk about that a little later on. You thank you for coming, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you chair the Parliamentary Committee on National Security.
Yes.
And Administration, and you replaced the late Kiambaa.
Yes, in that docket.
Member, yeah, Paul Konange. You received a lot of support from members.
Yeah, of course, yes, because I'm not very confrontational.
Yes.
Mostly I try and discuss members, their issues, and of course I befriend them. And not only that,
yeah,
I'm outgoing. So every corner I went, everybody wanted to say it's Mwathi, it's Mwathi.
It's Mwathi, it's Mwathi.
No, yeah, not the campaign like you have seen in Kiambaa.
Like the one you have seen. Even
No.
the Wajir member.
Yes.
Actually withdrew a candidature.
Yes.
Citing some advice that she got from the Right Honourable.
The Right Honourable Raila
Odinga.
And not just the Right Honourable.
Yeah.
And even the President.
Even the President.
Yeah, and of course the other principals like Musalia, the leader of Wiper.
Okay.
That is Kalonzo
Musyoka.
And all of them. And they called me and they said, are you going to take up this?
Yeah.
I was a chair by the way before.
Yeah.
So I was torn between, do I stay where I am or do I go to where the president is saying? And he said, I am now telling you as a party leader, this is the position you'll take, leave the other one.
Leave the other one.
And you know, because I like respecting my party leader.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yes, I had no option. And again, I'm equal to the task.
You're equal to the task.
Yes.
By the way, you said that the shoes were too big. How has been the learning curve for you? And are you now settled?
Well, yeah, the shoes were big, quite big, but now my feet are growing big also.
Okay.
I'm almost getting there.
So you're well settled?
I'm settled now.
You're well settled?
And I think I'm ready to take on. But there are so many challenges, I can tell you, in security.
Okay, excellent. And we'll start with one of those challenges.
Yes.
Now that you're well settled, there's a flare-up as we speak in Marsabit County, violence has erupted. I think the Boran, the Rendile, the Gabra communities are fighting. So first, I want to get your initial reaction to that.
Well, let me say this, and that issue had come a little earlier. Just when I joined the committee, there was an issue of this conflict, and we are trying to find out, does it just happen? Is it spontaneous, or is it calculated, or is it attached to any dispensation? And we realized every cycle of election, once we get closer to electioneering year like this one, we're just about 4 months away, then temperatures rise. And I think what I would say,
why are we seeing temperatures rising?
Because, I'm a politician.
And also a chair of the National Committee.
Yes, and you are not. Yeah. But I know you whip emotions. You want to show people that you supporting them, probably by downtrodden on others, so that you can get political support. Actually, I am thinking largely that this could be political. And there's one of the members from Marsabit who brought a question in Parliament and said, ask us, because we have information. And we are going to pick that information as raw as it is, and we'll try and collate that with what else we are getting from the other information from intelligence.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to tell, because we hear people are coming all the way from other counties, and they are being used to make sure that they suppress those who are supporting rival candidates. See, so it's largely political. In my view, we haven't established exactly whether it is purely political. But I know there are some undertones of politics.
There are some undertones. Yes. And it's not only you who has those concerns. There is a sizable number of Kenyans who are saying that it is possible that the 2022 politics has a role to play in all this. So I'm asking you, is there a bigger problem? Is there a bigger problem that the security apparatus must address as we gear up towards the big poll, the one that's waiting for us in 2022? And against the background that we are coming from a very difficult past. You remember the 2007, 2008?
I know.
It was untidy.
I know, quite untidy, and it brought a lot of not very nice memories that we want to remember. Yeah. And just a week ago, if you checked, there was a security meeting somewhere in one of the installations that we wanted to find out what are these issues that are happening, or are said to want to happen in different parts of the country now that we are getting closer
to the
elections. And we said, let us form a multi-agency team that is going to investigate what are the causes of what we are likely to get, because there is intelligence report that there are hot spots that are going to erupt somewhere in Nyanza, in Central, in Coast, in Marsabit, which has already started. And our people are up to the task. I want to say that because they got to know, but just before we were able to get in, the Marsabit one has erupted.
Okay.
So we are hoping that the others won't.
Now, your concerns are similar to IEBC's chair, Wafula Chebukati.
Yes.
He's expressed a lot of concerns, and he's saying that there are some politicians who are still running around, yet some of them have active cases of incitement. There are those who have cases of, incitement to violence. There are those who have been linked with killings before. So how serious are these concerns, especially coming from the IEBC chair? And are you, because some of them are your colleagues, what mechanism do you have in place to censure those colleagues of yours?
Let me just say this, and I'm happy.
And remember, this is something you have alluded to earlier. It's something that has been happening. We know.
Yes.
Even the intelligence we are going to pick.
I know.
Sometimes we have this intelligence already.
I know.
Yeah. So why don't you move in and don't squander this opportunity to fix this problem once and for all? It's a weighty matter.
Yeah. Let me say this. I'm happy to be back to here at KBC because I have been going to the other media, and I have spoken to this so many times that yes, we know that there are politicians, my colleagues, who have active cases and they're still left loose to go out there.
So what are you doing?
And even cause more havoc.
What are you doing as a committee?
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
The moment that we take a case to the court, as a committee, we are not going to withdraw the case and deal with that matter in Parliament. What I have always done is urge judiciary, please expedite these cases that affect politicians, because in one way or another, a politician's case may drag on for as long as 5-6 years.
Even more.
Even more.
Yeah.
But the moment you get somebody who has stolen chicken, that is done in 3 months.
In 3 months.
So I've been.
Why does that happen, by the way? You're a leader.
I don't know.
You're a leader.
I'm a leader.
Yeah.
But you see, we have 3 arms of government. We have legislature.
Yeah.
We do the law.
Yeah.
We have the executive, which implements, and there is the judiciary, which is supposed to interpret. And in interpreting, if anybody has broken the law, they must take action.
They must take all that thought there.
Yes.
And the reason why is because if you look at some committees in other jurisdictions, they have a lot of teeth. For instance, if the president makes a statement and says, "This is what I want," you find committees in Parliament moving and designing bills in Parliament and moving with a lot of speed. So tell us whether you've asserted yourselves as a committee, because there's those people who feel they're not worth their weight in gold. We've not seen still.
But I am telling one thing.
Yeah.
That doing our work in Parliament and the judiciary doing its work is two different things. One, judiciary, if the case has gone to judiciary, it is the moment we take it back to Parliament, it will be sub judice, which means we cannot discuss matters that are in court. And of course, any member or any politician we want to run there, so that they can have cover of bail or bond, and so that they can keep on prolonging that bond and the case. But in not 1 or 2 instances, we have given recommendations on what action needs to be taken by that other arm, which is either the investigative arm or the judiciary.
Do you follow through on these things? And
yes,
how is your relationship with those other
institutions? There is a committee called Committee on Implementation, which is supposed to follow.
You follow through?
You follow through.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get frustrated.
I'll
tell you why.
Yeah.
Because as you may be aware, because you are a Kenyan, that there is supremacy war between these arms of government. At one time, Parliament should be dissolved. That is judiciary saying. At another time, they're saying the same Parliament which is dissolved should give us money enough to buy our cars. You know. So
Catch-22.
There you go. But I think as a nation, we need to recraft ourselves. Our mindset and our attitude and behavior.
How's your relationship? How's your relationship with the Interior Ministry?
Quite since I came, we have engaged 3 times. You will not believe it. But before I got in, there was a lot of frustration that time. But I have a lot of consultation between the minister, the PAs, the other senior officers, and I.
Brilliant. I think it's
and
important.
not just I. I as a chair, and of course the members
of your committee. I think that's important in terms of preparedness, and looking at the gaps that were there.
Yes.
And I'm taking you back to 2007, 2008. Twofold. The first part of this question: what lessons has your committee learned as a result of those 2007-2008 flare-up? And which legislation can you point and say this is what we passed to deal specifically with the triggers of violence? Because you know what?
Yes.
It has to stop at some point.
It has to stop.
Yeah.
There is one legislation called the NCIC Act, and that is National Cohesion and Integration Commission Act, which contains therein what you need to do to avert the vitriol that is normally poured by politicians.
How effective is it?
Now, that's the issue. You know, the law, and I want to say this so that every Kenyan can understand that this country is not devoid of laws. We have so many laws in place, very good laws.
So it's a question of what? Implementation?
It is a question of implementation and the people, the attitude of the people accepting to follow the law. And I'll tell you why. Today, I'm in Jubilee. I know there's an Elections Act which says I should not affiliate with another party. I'm just giving you an example. Then I am the legislator, so I do the law, I make the law, and I know what it says. Then tomorrow I go and start promoting the ideals of another party. And the law is they are saying do not. What are you telling the person who is supposed to follow that law? Because that's what is happening.
How do you speak to it? Because we've even seen court orders being disobeyed, left, right, and center.
Yes.
And you know, children learn best through observation.
Yes. And what are they observing? That even those who are supposed to be lead by example are not following the law.
Okay, let's go. I know you're a politician. Let's go to Kiambaa.
Yes.
The 15th by-election is just around the corner.
Yes.
And there are claims that security is skewed to favor certain political parties. Are all parties assured of the security?
Now, let me
during the by-election.
Let me speak from two sides. One from the security aspect, because I'm the chair, administration and national security. That
and you've had those concerns, eh?
Of course. And if you saw my clip, I don't know whether it came to this station. I spoke to that matter, and I said it is very important that all of us observe the law. It is very important for the security agents to be impartial. That they must not favor any side. I was saying that as a chair. And from the other side, as a member of Jubilee, and of course doing campaign for the Jubilee candidate, we'll ask our people to follow the law. And make sure that the only thing they need to do on Thursday is to wake up, go to the polling station, vote. Don't hang around the polling center. Go back home. Wait for the results. There is life after Thursday. This is just election. We don't want violence. No, if you kill somebody because you are going for election, you are not even being elected.
You're a murderer.
You are fighting.
If you kill somebody, you're a murderer.
Yes. And you're fighting because you want somebody else to get in. And in that turmoil, you are killed. What value is that?
But what's your role of ensuring that even the executive arm of government operates within the framework of the law, of the constitution? Do you have a role to play there?
As a committee, of course. Yes, because we have to check if...
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself so far?
As myself or
your role as a committee? You chair the committee.
As a committee, well, I think...
In terms of ensuring that, you know, the executive operates within the framework of the constitution.
I'll give myself 7 out of 10.
7?
Yes. I'll give myself...
Why are you smiling when you say 7?
Because it is. It really... In fact, today I'm not smiling. I'm known to smile more. That's how serious. But I think I'm also tired.
Tell me.
I've been in Kiambaa since...
Tell me. I started by telling you Kiambaa poll, the other by-election.
Yes.
It looks like it's a litmus test for a big political show in 2022.
Yes.
What are your comments on that?
Well, I'm almost getting to what you're saying. That yes, it is a political duel, and it's a duel that is pitting not really the candidates. It's not about Kareri Njama and Wanjiku. This is about Jubilee and UDA. Actually, I'll tell you, it's about the president and the deputy, because that is it.
So
the deputy has strongly come out, and you listen to me and listen good.
As your final comment, because this is an important one.
Yes, that he has come out strongly in support of UDA, and you can see that is at the top level. That is the second in command in Kenya, saying I am in Jubilee, but I'm telling you, my troops run and do campaign for the candidate in UDA, and that is the person who is supposed to observe law in the first place. So I have always been saying, and I want to say it again, for the umpteenth time, that at that level, a person of that nature should just say, I don't believe in the deals of this party, in the ideologies. I am living so that I follow the law. I am forming my party, and I want to tell people from where I stand or where I sit in that party, please come along. You know, telling guys, I am in Jubilee. Jubilee is bad. Go to UDA and go and vote a UDA candidate.
On the UDA?
You know, I mean, what can I call it? It is unimaginable.
It's unimaginable.
It's unimaginable. How do you imagine the second in command doing that? And the president is speaking, the next day they are fighting. You know, this country is almost in a crisis. When you see one day, like yesterday. The president speaks.
As you wrap up, because we've run out of time.
The president speaks. And then the second day, he's answered by the deputy in the negative.
In the negative. By the way,
what does it tell you? What does it portend even for future leaders who are aspiring to get to that level? Is it that we shall have a Kenya that shall be having leadership with confrontational politics?
Okay, last question.
Right?
You talked about the president.
Yes.
I'd like to interview him.
Well, you want me to bring him along?
Yes. Your national TV.
I know. All I can tell you is that I speak to him. And you let me know. I will pass that message.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Limuru Member of Parliament.
Yes.
Peter Mwathi, thank you for shooting straight from the hips. And you know, the chairman of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Dr. Reverend Samuel Kobia, says it's only in a peaceful environment that economic, social, and political development can thrive.
That's the only way we can prosper.
And that's a good place to leave it.
The only way.
Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you. Well, we're going to take a short break now. Remember, coming up, the day's business, and we'll be sporty in a little while. Stay with us.
What does this number mean to you? A pack leader? A winner? Or just a number? To us, it means freshness, boldness, vibrancy, and heritage. That's why at KBC Channel 1, we make it easier for you to pop up your family entertainment to a fresh, exciting, and colorful bouquet.
My name is Muhammad Ahmed Muhammad, the CEO of Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, popularly known as KDIC, with the mandate of being a risk minimizer, which entails, 1, to provide deposit insurance, that is in the unlikely event of a bank failure, that is the insured sum which is paid. 2, to provide incentives for sound risk management. And 3 is to promptly resolve problem banking, where we are supposed to resolve banks within the shortest time possible for the benefits of the depositors and creditors of our country.
Be sure, check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Nissan Serena ndio hii, na unaweza kuwa wewe ndio tunapikia simu. Kodi ya Nissan Serena ni NS, alafu kisha kwenye amount ni 50 bob. Hii Nissan Serena tunakupatia na shilingi 50.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account, weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano, TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the world of business. My name is Caroline Jenga. The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya wants Central Bank of Kenya to set interest rates for digital lenders to shield the public from unfair and unfavorable loan terms. ISPAC says this will help reduce the number of people defaulting on servicing their loans. Appearing before the National Assembly Finance Committee, the Digital Lenders Association has opposed the bill, saying they are not commercial banks. Kevin Oshira has details of that story.
Kenya has seen a proliferation of digital lenders offering quick mobile loans to Kenyans at rates and terms heavily skewed to the lenders. This has led to a spike in loan defaults, leading to many borrowers being blacklisted by the Credit Reference Bureau. To curb the trend, National Assembly has drafted the CBK Amendment Bill 2020 to, among others, curb money laundering and terrorism financing and bring digital lenders within the legal purview of central bank. In the past, the United Nations has urged the governments to seal loopholes that are being exploited by criminals to launder money gained illegally. The bill, if passed, would require all digital lenders to disclose to the CBK the source of their funds, their directors, interest rates and bank details. The Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya wants Central Bank of Kenya to set interest rates for digital lenders to shield the public from unfair and unfavorable loan terms.
We have to create a safe environment in which the digital lenders are going to be able to operate in, and that is why I thought when the other three regulators came in, there is a formal way of being able to create the safe environment.
Appearing before the Finance Committee during a public participation exercise on the bill, Digital Lenders Association of Kenya opposed the bill, terming it punitive.
We are not deposit-taking banks. Please do not treat us as such. There are global models and best practices not yet considered.
On issues of the fact that you do not actually take money from people, I think then it makes sense that certain prudential requirements should not apply as they do to banks that actually take people's money and hold people's money.
Kevin Washira, Prime Edition.
Now moving on to the horticulture sector. Now exports earnings dropped by 6.3 billion shillings in the first half of the year to 77 billion shillings due to suppressed prices at the international market. Agriculture, Fisheries and Food Authority Director General Kello Harsama says interceptions due to poor quality further contributed to low value traded over the period between January and June 2021. In the first half of the year, horticulture export earnings dipped by 6.3 billion shillings in the first half to 77.1 billion shillings compared to 83.4 billion shillings in 2020. However, the volume increased by 30.2 million kilos, mainly from fruits and vegetables. In the same period, fruits export earnings dipped to 12 billion shillings from 12.5 billion shillings, while flour export earnings fetched 50 billion shillings compared to 53.7 billion shillings for the same period last year. Vegetable earnings rose to 15.1 billion shillings from 12.2 billion shillings. Agriculture, Fisheries and Food Authority Director General Kello Harsama attributes the drop to low prices offered in the international market for low quality produce and interceptions and notification of non-compliance over the half period.
We had a total of 34 interceptions arising from the false codling moth. This year alone, we have had 27 interceptions.
He says the subsector has witnessed its own fair share of challenges due to non-compliance of quality and safety standards.
We have employed enforcement officers and we have deployed 145 enforcement officers to counties which are producing these crops, and they are mandated to stop vehicles and assess what they are carrying, to inspect.
To enhance quality, the authority has launched the Quality Mark of Horticulture Standard. Kenya Electricity Generating Company has allayed fears shedding due to falling water levels at the Seven Fork dams in let me look at that story again. The power generator says water levels at the dam, which produce 40 megawatts, have plunged into 1,054 meters above sea level against a minimum operation of 1,035 meters above the sea level. Take a look.
there has been rising concerns that the country was likely to embark off power rationing regime due to falling water levels in major dams in the country. However, KenGen, which is the biggest power generator in the country, producing more than 70% of the country's installed power capacity, has said the shortfall will be supplemented by geothermal power. Kenya has deepened investments in geothermal power in a bid to cut reliance on thermal and hydropower. A statement by KenGen says hydropower station will run optimally throughout the year despite poor hydrology. The move follows reports that peak electricity demand had shot up from 1,661 megawatt at height of COVID-19 to 1,994 megawatt as more industries resumed operations. The units of electricity supplied at the height of the pandemic declined to a low of 28,108 kilowatts with a peak demand of 1,661 megawatt in April 2020. With the relaxation of containment measures, the electricity demand supply has gradually grown to 36,225.96 megawatt and peak demand to 1,994 megawatts. Brian Munyoki, Lunchtime News.
Well, that is how we wrap up business news tonight. Sports update is up next with Richard Munga. Have a good night. My name is Caroline Jenga.
My name is Muhammad Ahmed Muhammad, the CEO of Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, popularly known as KDIC, with the mandate of being a risk minimizer, which entails, one, to provide deposit insurance, that is in the unlikely event of a bank failure, that is the insured sum which is paid. Two, to provide incentives for sound risk management. And three is to promptly resolve problem banking, where we are supposed to resolve banks within the shortest time possible for the benefits of the depositors and creditors of our country.
Be sure, check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Nateseka lakini hakuna wa kunielewa.
Na uhakika lao ni babake badi.
Hebu nyamaza wewe.
Hivi unamaanisha kwamba dadangu alikuwa kiruka njia?
Sikushindi wewe. Kwani mwili wako mtanuzo na mbolea?
Talk to me about respect. Nilikwambia Dingo, mfunge kamba mke wako.
Well, good evening. I'm Richard Munga and thank you for joining us for KBC Sports. Now, the second group of Team Kenya for the Tokyo Olympics arrived in Kurume City, where members will come before heading out to Tokyo for the games, which are set to kick off on the 23rd of July till August the 8th. Meanwhile, Malkia Strikers head coach Paul Bitok says preparations for the Olympics are progressing well, with the team intent on leaving a mark at the international showpiece.
The Kenya national rugby sevens side Shujaa was among the second group of Kenyan Olympians to arrive in Kurume City, Japan ahead of the Olympic Games slated for 23rd July to 8th of August. The team had their plans to travel to a final pre-Olympic tournament in Los Angeles, shelved by the Ministry of Sports due to COVID-19 restrictions. Team Kenya is expected to camp in Kurume City for close to a fortnight before heading to Tokyo, where they will compete in more than 3 disciplines, hopeful of performing better in Tokyo than in Rio 5 years ago. Kenya finished 15th overall at the Rio Olympics in 2016 with a total of 13 medals, 6 gold, 6 silver and a single bronze medal. Meanwhile, Malkia Strikers head coach Paul Bitok is confident his squad are in good shape ahead of Tokyo Games, with the team making a return to the Games after 16 years of absence. Kenya will clash with Japan on July 26th before taking on Korea on July 28th.
We just finished our first training and the condition here is very good. We thank the Kurume City Mayor for allowing us to use these facilities. The players responding very well. We wanted to go slowly and we just started with the defense and services, and I hope by the next training we will start the full technical part, especially on the attack.
They will thereafter face off with the 2016 silver medalist Serbia on July 30th and take on Dominican Republic on August 1st before concluding their Pool A match against 2012 gold medalist Brazil on August 3rd.
Also, Vihiga Queens coach Alex Alumira has exceeded his team's intent to excel in the inaugural CAF Women's Champions League Zonal Qualifier tournament. The team has been pulled in Group C and will be up against Rwanda's Scandinavian FAD Club of Djibouti in the region tournament that will be played between July 17th and August 1st in Nairobi, Kenya. Group A is comprised of Lady Doves of Uganda, PVP Bugenzi of Burundi and Tanzania's Simba Queens. All Group B will have Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, Yeja Stars of South Sudan and Zanzibar's New Generations of Sea. Vihiga Queens will be hoping to win and make it to the inaugural CAF Women's Champions League to be held in Egypt later this year.
There must be a comeback, and the comeback must be greater than the setback. So having lost the league, I think it is a motivating factor, because we have to win this one because we want to be in Sekafa next season. I think all our fans should expect a positive result, and whether they are from Vihiga or Kenya, you know, we are now representing the country. So deep down in our hearts, we know that we are carrying the burden of representing our country on our shoulders. So the best thing we can do is we try the best we can to win the trophy.
Tumepatiwa hii opportunity ya kurepresent Kenya kwa Sekafa. Ni opportunity poa sana, mimi as a player and also other players, at least tutaweza kushowcase talent zetu internationally.
Internationally, England manager Gareth Southgate says he takes responsibility for the Three Lions penalty shootout defeat to Italy after the Azzurri beat them 3-2 on post-match penalties to win their second European Championship title. Leonardo Bonucci cancelled out Luke Shaw's early goal, with the match going to penalties after a 1-1 draw across 120 minutes.
Stadium for the most significant football match played in England for 55 years.
England looked on course for their most joyous day since 30th July 1966 when Luke Shaw, Italy, unbeaten in 33 matches before this final, slowly edged their way back into the game and were level in the 67th minute when Leonardo Bonucci pounced after England goalkeeper, and after a tense period of extra time, failed to find a winner. It was on to penalties and bitter disappointment for England manager Gareth Southgate.
We win and lose as a team, and the penalty takers are my call. You know, we've worked on them in training. That's my decision. That's not down to the players. And tonight it hasn't gone for us. But we know they were the best takers that we had left on the pitch.
Well, the English affair, of course, and Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson strongly condemning the racism meted after, of course, the three youngsters, that is Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho, after the game last night. Oh, that's it for sports. I'm Richard Munga. Don't go too far. Tom Mboya and Purity Museo will be back shortly. Good night.
Thank you, Richard. Well, we had asked for your views earlier on. The certified public accountants want the Central Bank of Kenya to set interest rates for digital lenders. Why? To shield the public. You have spoken.
They have, and actually most Kenyans agree to this, because there's one person who is asking, Joel from Thika, why should I take a loan and if I pay in 2 days, pay the same rates as a person paying back after 2 months?
Okay, Peter from South Africa. Sorry, not from South Africa. He's actually from Mombasa. He says yes, and gives a rider here. They say, yeah, they should be allowed to access credit reference bureau listing. So he says yes, but he gives a condition. They should be allowed to access.
But not too much.
Yeah. Okay, we've got to go. And by the way, there's something happening down south, South Africa.
Absolutely, violence, looting, property being destroyed, and I hope that is going to be, controlled.
Yeah, it's something we need to follow through and get the facts in. All right, so thank you. We hope that the last 1 hour or so was worth your while. Thank you from the capital city, Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Mboya. Good night.
I'm Purity Museo. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Prime Edition. We'll see you again tomorrow, same place, same time. Good night and God bless.
Bye-bye.